Have you ever imagined how a simple, forgotten letter could change the fate of two lives that seemed doomed to loneliness? What if true love had been waiting for years to be lived, but something much bigger than time kept them apart? This is the story of Ethan and Hana, a lonely American and a young Korean woman whose paths crossed in an unlikely way, proving that true love can survive even silence, distance, and the deepest traumas. Get ready for a story worthy of a K-drama, one that touches the heart and stays in your memory for days. And in the end, something surprising happens. In this video, you'll discover how a tragedy almost separated two souls who were destined to find each other forever. The reunion that seemed impossible, the decision that broke promises, and a letter lost for years. It's all part of one of the most moving stories you'll hear today. So go ahead and like the video, get comfortable, and prepare yourself to feel deeply, because this story will make you believe once again that true love really exists, even if it has to face time, distance, and pain. Ethan Cooper had always been a man of few friends. He lived in Portland, Oregon, in a simple house near Mount Tabor Park, where he walked every morning before heading to the hospital, where he worked as an occupational therapist. After losing his parents at a young age in a car accident, he closed himself off from the world. His life was meticulously controlled, leaving no room for surprises or emotional risks. Until one rainy spring night, something unexpected happened. Ethan found a letter tucked inside a donated book at the community library. The handwriting was delicate, written in Korean. He couldn't understand a word, but something about that handwriting, that emotion on the paper, touched him deeply. Driven by curiosity, he took the letter to a Korean neighbor, who translated it for him. It was a farewell. A young woman named Hana, who had lived in the US for a year, was saying goodbye to someone named EC, and she shared how that love had changed her life forever, even though they could never meet again. But who was EC? And why had the letter been left inside a book? Was it just a coincidence? Ethan started wondering if that message was meant for him. There was something strange, something that wouldn't let him forget the letter. He began searching for clues, digging through library records, contacting exchange programs from that time, and even posting on Reddit. But nothing. It was as if Hana had never existed. Then, months later, he found an old photo, fallen behind a library shelf. It was her, the girl from the letter, Hana Kim. And next to the photo, a note with a Korean phone number and an address in Seoul. From that moment, Ethan knew he had to find out the truth, even if it meant reopening old wounds and crossing the world. Ethan took a leave from work and flew to South Korea. Once there, he faced culture shock, language barriers, and loneliness, but eventually found the school where Hana had studied as an exchange student. The principal led him to an old student diary, and there was her name. But the news hit him like a punch to the chest. Hana had suffered a serious accident upon returning to Korea and had been in a coma for nearly 2 years. When she woke up, she had lost much of her memory. Her letter had been written just before returning to Korea, and she never knew if it was ever read. Ethan, on his side, had never received any message, maybe a wrong address, maybe fate. But now, years later, he knew where she was. Alive and working as an art teacher at an orphanage in Busan. And the most shocking part, she didn't remember him. Ethan stood at the orphanage gate, his hands trembling and his heart racing. It felt like the entire weight of his life compressed into that single moment. When he finally saw Hana for the first time after so many years, time seemed to freeze. She was smiling at a child, her hair tied up in a simple bun, wearing a paint-stained apron. There was no sign of recognition in her eyes. To her, Ethan was just another visitor, and that broke him inside. Still, he chose not to reveal everything right away. He wanted to get to know her again, to let her know him for who he was now, not just from erased memories of the past. So, he volunteered at the orphanage, saying he was searching for new meaning in life. It was true, but it was more than that. It was love. Their daily interaction brought them closer. Ethan quickly became beloved among the children and showed an unexpected talent for storytelling. Hana, meanwhile, still carried scars from the past she couldn't name, frequent nightmares, moments of confusion, and a strange feeling whenever she looked at Ethan, as if something inside her was screaming not to let him go. Slowly, tiny memories began to surface. A park bench, a hug in the rain, a song playing on an old radio, and then a letter. She remembered writing a letter, but to whom? And why? What Hana didn't know, and what would change everything, was that the book where the letter was hidden had been a farewell gift from her to Ethan. A final gesture of love before leaving. But fate, cruel and mysterious as ever, kept that letter hidden until the right moment. Now, with feelings resurfacing, Ethan decided to tell her the whole truth. He arranged a meeting with Hana at the park where they used to walk when they were young. He brought the book, the letter, and the old photo with him, and there, in front of her, he began to tell everything from the beginning, every detail, every search, every pain. In the middle of his explanation, Hana started crying, first silently, then sobbing like a child. The impact of his words, the images, and his very presence unleashed a torrent of memories she could barely contain. And then, as if by magic, she remembered. She remembered everything. The laughter, the plans, the kiss in front of the iron bridge, the promise they made under the Christmas lights. If it's true love, it will wait, even if it takes years. But fate still had one more unexpected twist. When everything seemed to be heading toward a happy ending, a phone call changed everything. The orphanage was about to close due to lack of funding. Hana, desperate, said she couldn't abandon the children. Ethan, on the other hand, received an offer to become the director of a clinic back in the United States. It was the realization of his biggest dream. Now came the dilemma: stay with Hana and help save the orphanage, or return to his old life and lose the love of his life again. What would you do? Would you give up your dream for love? Or would you let love go to follow your personal mission? Ethan decided to return to the US, but not without leaving something behind for Hana. A letter. Yes, another letter. But this time with a proposal. He would create a fundraising campaign using his contacts in the US, and he would use his new position to forge an international partnership with the orphanage. He promised to come back, but only if she still wanted him. Months passed. The orphanage stayed open thanks to the support of an American NGO. Hana now smiled more lightly. And on a cold year-end afternoon, as snow fell over the garden, a familiar figure appeared at the gate. It was Ethan, with a ring in one hand, and the book where everything had started in the other. The cold of that December afternoon near Busan didn't seem to bother Ethan at all. He had crossed half the world, overcome his own traumas, faced oblivion, and bet everything on a feeling that could very well have been just a one-sided memory. But it wasn't. When Hana saw that man standing there, with the same shy smile and tearful eyes, she knew. She knew in her soul he was the one she had been waiting for without even realizing it. And then, for the second time, or maybe the first, all over again, they embraced. The kind of hug that doesn't need words because it says what 1,000 letters never could. It was forgiveness. It was a new beginning. It was love. Ethan didn't propose marriage in that moment. He proposed time. He proposed rebuilding. He wanted to learn how to live with her, beside her, fully. Not like before, when time was short, words were few, and the future was uncertain. Now, they had everything: memory, presence, purpose. And little by little, they built a home, not just for themselves, but also for dozens of children who came to call the orphanage home. Ethan used his expertise to create therapy programs for the kids, and Hana started painting again. Her artworks were exhibited, sold, and part of the proceeds helped fund the orphanage. They became more than a couple. They became a refuge. The letter that started it all is now framed on a wall at the orphanage, next to a plaque that says, "Love is never lost. It just waits for the right moment to be lived." Many visitors stop by every year, curious about the story that went viral online after a journalist wrote an article about the couple. But what people see when they visit the orphanage goes far beyond romance. They see hope. They see that yes, love can be interrupted, forgotten, or asleep. But when it's true, it finds invisible paths back to the other. Sometimes through lost letters, sometimes through old photos, or through a whispered memory in the middle of a dream. And now I want to hear from you. Do you believe love can overcome time? Have you ever experienced something like this? Have you ever waited for someone who seemed impossible? Tell us your story in the comments below. And if this story touched your heart, don't leave without subscribing to the channel. Your subscription really helps us continue bringing real or inspired stories that connect people. Leave a like, turn on notifications, and share this video with someone who needs to believe in love again. Thank you for staying with us until the end. May you also find again whatever your heart has been waiting for. Watch the next suggested video. See you there.